In today's video, I'll talk about the Keurig K-Elite review. We are taking a really cinematic, premium look at a machine that has basically become a staple on kitchen countertops everywhere. We're breaking down the Keurig K-Elite, but we're not just doing some surface-level overview here. We're going deep into the engineering, the hard performance metrics, and a masterclass on exactly how to maintain this device for peak performance. Like I said, in today's video, I'll talk about the Keurig K-Elite review. We're going to treat this machine exactly like the piece of technology it truly is. That means analyzing its specs, looking at its trade-offs, and giving you the definitive tutorial on its inner workings. You see, it's super easy to look at a single-serve coffee maker and just see, a quick caffeine fix. But the K-Elite is positioned as something way more than that. It's a precision machine. If you're an engineer, a remote worker, or just a really busy professional, it's essentially a tool designed for measurable tech efficiency. It is all about optimizing your routine, eliminating friction, and getting a totally consistent result every single time you hit that button. Section 1. Meet the Keurig K-Elite. The absolute first thing you're going to notice, and honestly one of its biggest selling points, is that number right there, 75. The K-Elite features a massive 75-ounce removable water reservoir. For a heavy coffee drinker or, say, a busy office environment, this is an absolute game changer. It literally allows you to brew up to 8 cups between refills. That means way less time standing around at the sink and a lot more time getting back to your day. And when you do decide to brew, you've got an impressive amount of versatility. The K-Elite gives you 5 distinct brew sizes. That ranges from a highly concentrated 4-ounce core all the way up to a 12-ounce travel mug size. This actually gives you a much wider range of options than a lot of other models out there. For instance, the newer Keurig K-Supreme completely lacks that smallest 4-ounce option. Section 2. Features and brewing performance. Okay, if you value efficiency, this right here is the metric that matters. 18.3 seconds. Through keystroke-level modeling and strict stopwatch validation, that is the median task time per cup. It's a quantifiable, hard measure of exactly how this machine reduces the friction in your morning routine. You insert the pod, press brew, and retrieve your cup with zero ambiguous status indicators slowing you down. But it's not just about raw speed. The K-Elite really elevates itself above standard single-serve machines with some highly specialized brewing buttons. You've got a strong brew option, which intentionally slows down the extraction process to pull a much bolder flavor right out of the pod. There's also a dedicated iced coffee setting that brews hotter and stronger so it dilutes perfectly over ice. Plus, it features an on-demand hot water dispenser, which is just brilliant for things like tea or instant oatmeal. And it even gives you custom temperature control, letting you dial in your brew anywhere from 187 to 192 degrees Fahrenheit. So the real question is how it achieves all of this, right? Well, that brings us to the voltage-regulated thermal block. This robust internal heating mechanism is literally an engineering marvel for a consumer appliance. It brings water to that precise temperature in just 3.8 seconds and maintains a highly consistent 150 psi brew pressure. Even better, testing shows that this specific component reduces thermal stress by 41% over 5,000 cycles when you compare it to legacy Keurig models. Basically, it is built to last. And get this, when it's not brewing, it's incredibly efficient. The K-Elite draws an ultra-low 0.42 watts of standby power. Plus, it features a true 24-hour auto-off function that fully powers down the control board and the heater. That cuts the phantom electrical load by a massive 94%. Section 3. Pros, cons, and trade-offs. Let's stack it up against the competition. When you compare the K-Elite to the K-Supreme and the K-Classic, it absolutely dominates in water capacity with that massive 75-ounce tank. And of course, it offers that smaller 4-ounce brew size we talked about. However, you'll notice the K-Supreme uses Keurig's newer multi-stream brewing technology that punctures the pod in multiple places for a more even extraction, whereas the K-Elite relies on the traditional single stream. So it's a choice, really, between the K-Elite's massive capacity and customization versus the K-Supreme's newer extraction method. And that brings us to the ultimate trade-off of the K-Elite and realistically all standard K-Cup machines. You are getting unparalleled speed and pure convenience, but you are sacrificing the crema. Because the K-Elite just doesn't use the high pressure of a true espresso machine, it cannot produce that rich caramel-colored layer of foam that coffee purists absolutely love. It's really a matter of prioritizing deterministic efficiency over true espresso-style extraction. Section 4. Essential cleaning and maintenance. Think about it like this. A coffee maker is essentially a warm, moist, dark environment, which unfortunately is the absolute perfect breeding ground for mold and bacteria. To prevent this, you really need to pay regular attention to the physical hardware components. Specifically, we're talking about the drip tray plate at the bottom and the K-cup pod holder assembly where the actual brewing happens. So to keep things fully sanitary, just follow these steps. First, wipe down the exterior surfaces daily to get rid of any dried coffee residue. Second, slide out that drip tray and wash it out with warm soapy water. Third, and I'd argue this is the most important one, carefully remove the K-cup holder. Watch out for the sharp needles there, and rinse away all those old grounds and oils. And finally, clean out the water reservoir. Just always remember to remove the water filter before you do that. Speaking of that filter, I want you to remember the number 2. You absolutely must replace the charcoal water filter every 2 months or after every 40 gallons of use. Over time, debris just builds up, and more importantly, changing it actively prevents calcium carbonate buildup inside the machine's thermoblock. If you ever notice your coffee is tasting just a bit off, your filter is highly likely overdue for a swap. Now, every 3 to 6 months, you're going to need to perform a full descale. This whole process takes about 45 minutes. Step 1. Empty out the reservoir and add Keurig's official descaling solution mixed with water. Step 2. Run large, hot water rinsing brews into a ceramic mug, definitely not a paper cup, until that add water light finally comes on. Step 3. Let the machine sit powered on for exactly 30 minutes to break down the scale and then thoroughly rinse out the reservoir. Step 4. Run multiple fresh water cycles to clear out all the solution. And a huge pro tip here, stick to the official solution. Don't use vinegar, because testing actually shows vinegar can degrade the internal O-rings over time. Okay, but what happens if you go to brew and you only get a partial cup? Well, you likely have a clogged needle. Here is a super practical paperclip trick to fix it. First, always unplug the machine. Then remove the pod holder assembly. You need to locate the sharp entrance needle under the top lid and the exit needle down inside the pod holder. Just carefully insert a straightened paper clip into the holes of those needles and gently move it around to loosen any trapped coffee grounds. Run a water-only brew right afterward, and you should be perfectly good to go.
Section 5. The final verdict.
So who is the ideal K-Elite user? It's someone who heavily prioritizes tech efficiency and deterministic behavior in their morning routine. It's for the person who actually wants to dictate their brew strength and their temperature, rather than just accepting a factory default. It is absolutely perfect if you drink multiple cups a day and you don't want to constantly refill some tiny tank. And finally, it's for the user who values robust, durable hardware over flashy, cloud-dependent smart features that require Wi-Fi connections and constant updates. Which leaves us with this final, big-picture thought. When we look at this machine, we aren't just looking at a way to make coffee, right? We are looking at a way to reclaim time. So, does the time saved by a highly deterministic 18.3-second brew cycle justify the premium price tag for your daily routine? It's really a question of measuring your convenience in seconds and watts and deciding exactly what your time is worth. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and I'll catch